Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Last cycle. Come on, go. Get him. Yes! 6-4-1 for the win! Yes! What's going on, guys? It's Filthy, and I'm back with another video. We're on Season 21, it's opening weekend. We've just cleared a 111 with under 800 Paragon, so 778 Paragon at the start of the Rift. Gem levels 100, not fully ancient, no augments whatsoever. This is the God Demon Hunter push build. If you only get 800 Paragon in a season, you can clear over 110 pretty comfortably with this. It is most definitely the most powerful build in the game, in my opinion. Now, there are a few different ways to run it. I'm going to show you the exact spec that I use, show you all my gear, show you all my stats. Obviously, if you want to replicate it as a 800 Paragon player, you can do so. There are other options. It may well be that you can maybe go a couple of rift levels higher, but I've squeezed pretty much everything that I can out of this. As things stand, I'm going to go away and get some augments and then come back and see if I can't push it a little bit higher. But if you are new around here, do consider hitting the subscribe button. Got plenty more guides on the way. But let's jump in and take a look at the Gears of the Dreadlands. Now, the two-piece, we gain 4 seconds of momentum whenever we attack with a primary skill. We get a max duration of 20 seconds, and primary skills deal 10% per damage for every momentum stack. So if we fire off some generators, we get up to 20 stacks here, and they deplete over time. Now, there is a bug at the moment. You don't always get the full stacks when you fire your generator. A little bit annoying, you just need to keep an eye on it, but roughly speaking, to keep up the maximum amount of damage, you want to be clicking your left click every second or so. On the 4-piece, when we strafe against enemies, we get 60% damage reduction, as well as firing our last primary skill. So we take Hungering Arrow. When we strafe, we fire out Hungering Arrow, provided we're going towards an enemy. We get 8% move speed for each second of momentum, so we can obviously have a huge move speed because we get 20 stacks of momentum. Each one is worth 8%, so again, there's a good reason to keep your momentum stacks up at 20. Now, 6-piece bonus, primary skills deal 10,000% increased damage, so every Hungering Arrow that we fire out is pretty juiced up. But we do have some other multipliers. So we've got the 9th series satchel. This goes in the cube, 600% increased damage. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not absolutely mandatory that this goes here. It can go on the character if you find yourself a nice primal one, but it's probably a little better to wear the 2 one-handed crossbows, just because you can get some extra crit damage on them. But it can roll with Hungering Arrow damage on the quiver, so it's not the worst thing in the world to take on the character. So just whichever is the best that you get. Now, we've also got Depth Diggers in the cube. This is another 100% damage mod, so again, pretty nice. Convention of Elements for huge spike damage when we get onto cold. So we're taking Devouring Arrow, Cold Rune, 200% extra damage on cold. There's nothing that needs managing. You don't need to get yourself in position, but what you can do is pop a toughness buff just when you're about to end physical, because after physical comes cold. So you can make sure that you're in position to damage when you're on cold, but if you just want to play it really brainless, guys, you don't have to worry. Now, we're also going to take Hunter's Wrath Belt. Primary skills attack 30% faster, so huge attack speed, and deal up to 200%. Now, this modifier is obviously pretty important. Even if you find a non-ancient one like this, it's much better to get closer to the 200% than, say, taking an ancient one with like 170 on it or something. Try and get this as close to 200 as you can. We've got the Simplicity Strength, so every primary skill at rank 100 is getting 75% extra damage. Also gives us a 4% heal of our maximum health, so in the footage you'll see I come pretty close to proccing my cheat death a lot of the time, or I do proc it, but you can heal yourself up really quickly with this. 4% max life is pretty big, and you're pumping out those Hungering Arrows very quickly, or at least you can do. Bane of the Trapped, again, another kind of flat damage mod on the build. And then Taeguk, so whilst we strafe, we channel, so we get the extra effect of this, so up to about 60% extra damage at rank 100, and then we also get 10 stacks of 2% armor, so 20% extra armor for the Taeguk. We also have Bastion's Will, so focus and also restraint. When we use Hungering Arrow, that procs one part of it. Obviously we have to hit something with it, and then strafe will proc the other part. So it's 50% damage times by 50% damage again. So again, another nice modifier. Now, mandatory, you're going to have a Dawn. This is to try and keep perma uptime on Vengeance. Now, this rolls on a huge range of 50 to 60% cooldown reduction. If you get a perfect one of 65%, or you have it in the cube, you need 37-38% cooldown. I need more cooldown because I've only got 61%, but that gives me just about perma uptime. Another couple of points of cooldown would benefit me, but I'm pretty much there. And there, just for completion, I've got 46% roughly. It's not too bad. Now, other than that, guys, we're just going to stack toughness. We're saying that actually, we've got one more thing to cover: the Valor's Bequest. Now, I have absolutely no idea how this mechanic works. I will link you to Wadijo's video if you want to go and watch his explanation. Basically, if you just take the filthy casual approach, this weapon does more damage than any other. There's something weird going on with the strafe projectile piercing, and it is extra damage. I presume this is a bug, and I presume it'll get fixed. But then again, Tempest Rush dropping stacks on Monk hasn't been fixed, and that's been like 6 months. So at the moment, I'd use this for more damage. Now, it's not the only option. You can take a Fortress Ballista. This gives you a 3% max life shield, stacking 10 times, so 30%. So this makes it tougher. This would be kind of like a hardcore option. Or what you could do is maybe take a Squirts with the Ballista to try and get an extra modifier. But when you do take damage, you're going to get a pounding, because while Squirts does double damage, you then take extra damage of 50% once you drop your shield. All you have to do to get your shield back is attack though, so provided you get yourself out of trouble, it can be a good option. I, guys, would just literally pick the best gear pieces you have. So I've used the Ballista for a while. I then found an ancient Valor's Bequest, so I've stuck this on. And ultimately, if I find a really nice Ballista, I'll probably stick it here. But this seems the most damaging one to go for, so it's going to have to be a pretty nice one for me to replace it as things stand. Now, other than that, toughness, we've got the Raps of Clarity. You want cold % damage on here. This is going to give us up to 50% damage reduction. So obviously I need to replace this eventually, but it's a fairly okay piece at the moment. And then Flavor of Time is going to give us double pile-on durations. Obviously, when you're kind of pushing with this build and speeding with it, if you're using the Flavor of Time, you become a little bit at the mercy of RNGs. If you get really godly pile-ons, you'll have an amazing map and an amazing time. If you get one of those maps where it just keeps spawning you elites rather than pylons, well, fine, you can obviously still clear it. It's just going to be a lot harder because you're looking to get a double conduit, power, defense, something like that. We're going to take cooldown gem in the helm just to help buff up the cooldown to that perma uptime on vengeance. And then all res gems in the chest and pants, again, very important. Hungering arrow damage on here as well, 15%. So there, and the belts are your modifiers. As I say, another 15% on your quiver if you do go that road. Other than that, you want double crit pretty much everywhere you can get it. Cooldown. So, my shoulders are quite nice. My gloves are fairly good. I could do with not having vitality. Double crit ring. Crit and cooldown on here. Again, not perfect. I wouldn't want hatred regen on here or vitality really. Again, you probably wouldn't want resource cost reduction on here. So, I'm sort of getting towards a bit of endgame-ish gear. Again, boots, you wouldn't want life per second on there. My amulet's not very good, although it does have cold damage. So, plenty of room to grow with this. So maybe you could squeeze out a couple of extra levels. But let's jump in and have a look at the skills. We'll talk about a couple of other gear swaps. Strafe, Drifting Shadow, we now can move at 100% full move speed whilst we strafe. So just no brainer, best rune. Hungering Arrow, Devouring Arrow, this just does the most damage. Each consecutive pierce we make with this adds more damage, so obviously the bigger group of stuff that you're firing through, the more damage you get. Vengeance gives us 40% extra damage. We also take Dark Heart Rune, so 50% damage reduction, helps keep us nice, tough and tanky. Again, you've got to manage your own cooldown to try and push it up so you've got this on perma uptime. Fan of Knives, Bladed Armor, it gives us 40% additional armor, so big toughness buff. It also will help us activate one of our passives. Companion, Boar Companion, this just gives us extra resistances. Obviously that's why we take the all res gems, and it just kind of buffs up the toughness. If you're happy with your toughness, you could switch this out for the Wolf Companion and basically use it as a pop to get a bit more damage. I quite like the smoothness of Boar Companion. I don't like dying. It just frustrates me, so I like this one. Then Shadow Power Gloom, an oh shit button, an extra 35% damage reduction. Now you run out of discipline pretty quick, so you don't get too many pops of this. So again, you might want to pop this just on the end of physical cycle so that you're quite tough for your cold cycle. Or again, if you know you've got to go through like an arcane laser to reposition yourself, again you can pop it beforehand. Also, if you don't quite have the perma uptime on Vengeance, you can use Gloom as like a kind of bridge. So when you know this one's going down, you can pop your shadow power, and that'll just kind of smooth it over until vengeance is ready to go again. Passive wise, awareness, you're just gonna have to take it. Cheat death, you know, you don't want to be proccing this, and or if you have it and don't awareness. I'm so tired. Awareness is a cheat death, guys. You want to make sure you have this on, because obviously dying just sucks balls. You don't want to do that. Ambush, 40% additional damage to enemies above 75% health. You can hit enemies pretty hard for the first quarter of the health bar, and then after that, obviously, it's useless. Call of the week, slowed enemies, shield enemies, 20% extra damage. So obviously, the Bane of the Trapped will cover that. But Fan of Knives, again, we can also get the slow on there. And then numbing traps, after we slow or hit with Fan of Knives, we get 25% damage reduction for 5 seconds on an enemy. Again, just a little bit of extra toughness just to help us out a little bit. So that's the spec that we've gone for. Now obviously if you want to speed drift, I would basically just dump on the NEMs. This is what I'm planning to do now. Put NEMs on and then drop it like 5, 6, maybe 7 GRs just to keep it nice and smooth. And then if you're finding you're struggling with toughness, maybe whilst you're learning the build, you could put an Elusive Ring here where the convention goes, and that would give you a huge damage reduction whenever you activated shadow power. But just bear in mind, you're not going to be able to keep spamming this because you're not going to have the discipline. You know, you can only get a few pops of it before it runs dry, and you've got to wait for it to come back up again. Squirts, again, would probably be more of a speed farm thing, I would have thought. Again, unless you get really godly map or you get really good at playing the build and avoiding damage. But this combo obviously does offer a bit more damage once you get it kind of stacked up and so that your shield isn't dropping. But the kind of brainless way, you know, filthy casual way is probably going to be this. Just pick the most damaging weapon and go with that. That's it, guys. The build really isn't very difficult to play at all. I numlock. Hello, George. I numlock Fan of Knives. I numlock Vengeance, so they just go off whenever I release Strafe. And then, as I say, Shadow Power is an oh shit button. Just use it whenever you need it. I don't ever press the Boar Companion. Maybe I should. I don't know. I just don't press it. And you just want to click away with Hungering Arrow to get your stacks up to 20. And after that, you want to pop this every second or so just to keep your momentum up. And other than that, guys, you use Strafe, Hungering Arrow, and you just absolutely murder everything. Absolutely stoked to have cleared 111 on the opening weekend. Guys, if I can do this, you can do it too. 800 Paragon. This is definitely the most powerful build in the game for me, and personally, I think it's going to get nerfed. Once we get this juiced up to 3.5 Paragon with augments and seasonal Paragon, I'm sure it'll be sailing past the kind of benchmark that Blizzard has. But enjoy it whilst it's here, guys. Never know, maybe it'll stay, maybe they won't touch it, but at the moment, pound for pound, this is probably the easiest and fastest way to get yourself up to doing speed hundreds, fastest and easiest way to start clearing like 110 plus content. That's it, guys. I've been the Filthy Casual. I'll be back with some more videos very soon. I hope you're all staying safe. Take it easy. Peace.